required for a great neighborhood to exist, the livability, the prosperity, and also just getting around the city via transit. We have to make sure that we have the capacity, and we're expanding our transit systems to ensure we can meet the needs of future generations. So on that note, I am wrapping up, and I'm looking forward to some of your questions.
Thank you. One thing I've noticed, the jamming from Eglinton. Eglinton was the original north boundary of the subway, and so of course all the buses came into there. Now we've moved up to Finch, and yet Eglinton still seems to have the lion's share of buses. Is that something that you've taken into consideration?
Oh, you're muted, Jay.
Just to be clear on your question, what are you suggesting, that they should be demand response, like they should be moved north, the buses? Or well, I'm not sure what your question is.
It's yes, having the other stations take some of the load off of it.
I see. Okay. So we are doing this massive analysis right now, Susan, on these issues. We call it demand response. We're trying to be more nimble and pivot. I'm going to tell you, the TTC has not been known for those things.
No.
It's a bit of a dinosaur organization. So I've been working on transforming the TTC to a modern organization. That's been my commitment and my focus. So we are looking at those very issues, and we are working on a report right now that will address those things, and where the demand is, getting the, whether it's, no matter what mode of transit it is, getting those to those neighborhoods. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question about the LRT along. I live right at Eglinton. I live on Dunfield. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I live right on Dunfield at Yonge and Eglinton, and the pavement is absolutely disgraceful from Young Street to Mount Pleasant, because they've been building the LRT, but they haven't even, like, it's now 5 years at least. They could have made it at least smooth. Like, okay, it's a temporary situation, but it's been too long. I mean, and it's dangerous, and the street, the pavement goes wide and narrow, and it's flooded, and it's up and down. I mean, they should do something. If it's going to be another 2 years, they should, the company should at least make the street walkable and decent. And I mean, you know, in Cuba they were doing construction, and it was all neat where where it was blocked off from the construction. Here it's a mess. Like, the builders don't care about the pedestrians. That's the way I feel. They care about getting the cars through, but it's a lot of older people live up here, and we've got to go to Metro and Shoppers, and it's been like that for a few years, and it's just not being improved, and it's going to be another 2 years. It's crazy.
So Pat, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for your comments. I would agree with you. Metrolinx has not done a brilliant job in their build, and they do not really, we represent the neighborhoods, they don't really care. So I do represent the north side of parts of the north side of Eglinton. It's a very weird boundary. I don't represent the south side till we get to Mount Pleasant, then it becomes my area. But I think they owe it to the neighborhood after all these years of construction. They owe it to the neighborhood to correct that. So we will remind them of that, but they are a provincial body. I'm not trying to make excuses, but they are a provincial body and a provincial agency, and they're not the easiest ones to work with. But we will press for that. But like I said, I share Eglinton with another councillor. So, but thank you. That's great feedback, and we will send that along.
And also, you talk about the high rise. Well, it's already too late. It's already too late in this area, with all the really, like on Redpath, those ridiculous tall towers. And once they start building, once the LRT is finished, they still have permission in that square to build big, tall buildings. Like the Ontario government are not going to stop that now. It's too late.
Yeah, so this is something I'm very concerned about. I have to tell you, I spend most of my evenings at development meetings because the aggressive behavior of developers, and where they should be building 15 stories, they're asking for 44 stories or higher. And so this is this has to be stopped. It has to be stopped.
And the thing is, how can people afford them? I mean, the people that are in the camps or in homeless, they can't afford those condos. Those condos that are being built are not affordable to, minimum wage earners.
No.
So they've got to do something about.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I say at City Council all the time. If you think these places are affordable, check the price tags. We have condos going up where they're millions. They're literally millions of dollars, millions and millions. There's one that's quite exclusive boutique, $4 million for a unit. $4 million. So they're not affordable, and people are fooling themselves if they think that that's going to help the problem, because they're not affordable, not even remotely. I mean, you'd have to be upper income to afford a lot of these condos. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I just want
to. The complaint that I'm sorry, I lost who was complaining. Up here in Jane and Finch area, I'm sorry, we have a terrible problem with Metro Links and the construction that's going on up in Downsview. I mean, Finch Avenue, all the way from Keel Street to Highway 427 is just terrible. And I'm getting a new car, and it's like I won't even be driving it in this area because the roads are just a mess. And really, let alone for pedestrians, and there are a lot of pedestrians in the Jane and Finch area, and somebody's going to get killed. And it's very sad because nobody's paying attention. And with the cars going through, and I don't know what the solution is, but it's not just your area. It seems to be across Toronto.
Yeah, the whole city. Yeah.
Because they're building new trains and new rails and,
Excuse me.
Condos, of course.
Let me just interject. I think we want questions directed to Jay, just to bring us back on task.
That's okay. You know what? I'll just comment on that because it's a very good point. It is widespread. I think Midtown and Focus, though, statistically, the Midtown area is taking the biggest hit right now from a development perspective. When you look at the stats and the number of applications that are being poised in this area. I would say to both of you that pedestrian safety is why I started a program called Vision Zero to try to help protect pedestrians. And thank goodness we did, because it's helped a bit, but not enough, because it's almost impossible. The city's growing in leaps and bounds, and pedestrians are not safe. And I know even when I go out, I'm nervous. So we are doing our best, but people have to slow down. And some of these, agencies like Metrolinx are very difficult to partner with and work with. And they don't know the neighborhoods, and they're not focused on those things that we are as locals that want to protect our neighborhoods and our pedestrians, people trying to navigate the city on foot, which we all like to do. So great. Those are great points.
And we all want to take the TTC the better way.
Yeah.
So might I ask a question? So we have, I agree with you. Toronto has a system that began 100 years ago, but it has something called the L. I doubt very much Toronto would ever approve that, an elevated train. But the key part about parks. So, I mean, one thing we have many areas in the city, like Transfig Park as an example, or even the immediate neighborhood. But if we start doing what some parts of Toronto have done, I'll use the example University of Toronto, where they took, I think it's George Street, they narrowed it from 4 lanes to 2. So if we start doing more of that, and in other parts of Toronto, for example, Mount Pleasant, narrowed to 2, and then you expand and put Greenspace on the side. That, I mean, I know the car people will just about have cardiac arrest. Do you think there's any energy for that?
Well, there is, you know what, maybe not quite that focused, but I would like to see, I don't know, the last time you've been downtown, but I recently was downtown and there literally is no green space there. You don't even see a blade of grass, as I said earlier. I mean, and I just wish we had more vision when we were building the city. It's hard when the city is so built up to kind of go back, but every chance I'm pushing for green space in every area we can. But that's a very innovative idea. We are doing some of that, but not necessarily with grass in areas like Yonge and Dundas. Some of that will be happening, but not with grass. They're doing it more to create more pedestrian space.
Other questions, people? So, Jay, what can we do as people who connect with the neighborhood? I mean, we can talk about petitions and other things. I know at Manor Road, instead of building townhouses, we built this park for people. So is there a way to, and I know when you cite examples, historically relating to Victor, there was 47 squares slated for the city of Toronto in 1850. We have 3 left. So how do we circumvent the concretization of whatever green space we do have, and make it much more difficult for people to clear out the trees? I mean, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's really, you know what, it's a very difficult thing, but I would tell you there is some good news. City Council is now saving most trees that go through the appeal process. It's very rare, if almost never, that City Council doesn't support it. So if you see a tree in jeopardy where there's a proposal to take it down, write your local city councillor, write the community council, write City Council, and let them know that you would like it preserved. So you know what, these people don't realize writing is very effective in this day and age. I know people don't think it, but every councillor reads their emails, and when they see people are advocating, if people aren't advocating, they're not going to really think about it twice. But if there's people advocating, it makes a difference. So my last kind of comment here would be stay engaged, stay in tune what's happening in your neighborhood, protect your neighborhood, keep an eye out for the trees and the green infrastructure. And if you know they're being challenged, to write to your local city councillor or write to the forestry division. We have a whole division of staff that focus on tree preservation in forestry. So it's very important to stay engaged, write letters, make phone calls when you see things that you love are being threatened. It does work. I know people think, oh, it won't matter a hoot if I write a letter, I'm not going to be engaged. It's not true. It still works. The old letter writing campaign is still valuable and a good way to remain engaged in your neighborhood. So I always encourage people to continue to engage in your neighborhood, your community, and your city. Thank
you, Jay. You are remarkable. So I want to thank you for being part of us. It will definitely have you back. And
I love it.
Definitely. And Susan, do you want to bid farewell and closing remarks?
Yes, well, thank you all for coming, both our speakers and our audience. Next week, we're welcoming back Kelly Snow, who will speak on the environment and what we can do, especially during these times, which really threw a spanner into the whole green movement because can't bring your own cup anymore and disposable masks. But we hope you keep coming, tell your friends about us, and we hope to see you next week.
Thank you again, Jay. Take care, everybody.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.